This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Welcome to Dear Prudence. I'm your guest, Prudence Kristen Meinzer. I host a couple of other podcasts, including By the Book and How to Be Fine. Be sure to check those out if you love self-help books, hate self-help books, or want advice on how to be okay-ish rather than perfect. Today, we'll be answering questions about being taken advantage of by a friend, confronting an alcoholic parent, and supporting your cousin when her mom is being delusional. Here to help me out is award-winning journalist and founder of TransLash Media, Imara Jones. Oh my gosh, Imara, it's so great to have you here today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and we are in studio, and I was just saying to Imara, I wish this was on camera and not just audio, because Imara, you look fantastic. You really just, you look great today.
Thank you. I'm proud of myself. This is my 15-minute look. So.
Oh, stop it! With those eyelashes and those nails and this whole, what? That takes me like 6 hours to look like you do right now. Stop it.
False. I love your skirt. I know they can't see it, but...
Well, thank you. Now, before we get started, we like to ask all of our guests, what is one piece of unsolicited advice that you would give to the world unprompted?
Put down your phones. Yeah, put down your phones. I keep telling people that our phones are not our friends, although we treat them like they are. And we have the idea that they bring us closer, but they are not. They're one of the things that's actually been exploited to divide society and to create the vitriol and the decision and help set us up for authoritarianism in ways that we're not aware. So put your phone down and do things to connect with your neighbors, connect with your friends. I have a practice now, a lot of like literally putting my phone in a place where I can't reach it if I'm with my friends or with other people, so that I have to focus on them. And it creates more space. I can't describe it, but we need to create more space. We need to create more connection. We need to create actually more peace. And one of the ways to do that is to put down your phone.
Oh, I love that advice. I love the part about making sure it's out of sight while we're with people that we care about and want to talk with.
That's
One
right.
of my biggest pet peeves is I'm sitting with you and hold on. I thought we were having a conversation and now your phone is out. What are you doing on your phone right now? What
That's
just
right.
happened in this conversation where your phone became more important? What?
That's right.
Yeah.
And actually what happens when you're on your phone and you're doing that, what happens is that it's activating like the monkey part of your brain. So it's the part of your brain that's like, like ADHD, constantly assessing for danger. Mm-hmm. And that's not the part of our brain that we need for a connection.
Yeah.
Right. So this feeling of disruption that you're getting when you're with people and they're on their phone, that is actually what's happening. It's interrupting the connection that you have.
Yeah. Great advice. Put down that phone, folks.
Put it down.
Put it down. You don't need it at this exact moment.
You don't.
All right. Well, we are going to take a very quick break, but when we're back, Imara Jones and I are going to answer some of your letters.
This episode is brought to you by Discover. If you've listened to Dear Prudence for a while, you know how important acceptance is when it comes to your personal growth. And you know who else is big on acceptance? Discover. You see, Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. That's a whole lot of places and a whole lot of acceptance, which is great for Discover, but even better for you. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Welcome back. You're listening to Dear Prudence. I'm Kristen Meinzer. I'm here with Imara Jones. And let's get started with our first letter of the day, titled, Feeling Taken for Granted.
My wife and I have a friend, Judy, whom my wife has known since childhood, but only became close to in the past couple years. The friendship seems very important to Judy. She once began sobbing over the idea of my wife and I moving away after we began joking about doing so, in the context of our jobs being difficult. Recently, we've noticed a pattern where Judy doesn't seem to reciprocate effort in the friendship. For example, on a recent holiday, we hosted her and a couple friends for brunch. She made the comment that she likes to come over to our house because she feels like she's at her grandparents' house and she doesn't have to do anything. For her birthday, she heavily hinted that she wanted us to throw her a party. She contributed nothing, and several hours before the party took place, she asked to bring friends we had never met. It's gotten to the point where I dread hanging out with her. How can we address this without making it awkward?
Oof. Wow. This is a leech, but also this is a leech that I think you can change your behavior around and change the situation slightly. But my first question is, letter writer, does your spouse feel the same way about Judy as you do? Because one thing you can do in your own behavior is just check out of that friendship. You can just let your wife take over that friendship with Judy and not be a part of it. But if this is something that you and your wife are on the same page about, I think you can do other things. What do you think, Imara?
Well, I think clearly Judy is using them as an emotional stand-in for so many things that she either didn't get or doesn't have in her life right now. So you guys are an emotional proxy for her. It's not really about you guys. Like she is using you guys again as an emotional stand-in. So I think that that's the first thing. Like the first trick in distancing yourself is to not take responsibility for things that you're not responsible for. So you're not actually responsible for the way that Judy is interacting with you. Judy is bringing that because you're an emotional stand-in. I think the second thing, your question about the wife is totally correct and appropriate. I also think that it would be interesting to see what the result of a conversation with Judy would be about how much time she's spending with you, how is she perceiving what's happening, right? And I think that you may hear something that either brings you closer from that makes you feel more attached to Judy, something that is touching or engaging or that you're like, oh, I didn't see it that way, and it brings you closer. Or you might hear things that go, oh, Judy doesn't really need us. Judy needs a different type of help.
Yeah, I think that is so great. You're going really deep on things and bringing empathy to the table. I think that's a great approach to things. But I would just add to that your empathy doesn't have to be unending. You can say, you know what, Judy, why don't you host this time? Or, oh, we would love to spend more time at your place. Or you can also say no. Also, when Judy's doing this dropping hint stuff, you don't have to pick up what she's putting down.
Right, this is what I mean. Like, I think that the part of it is she's using you guys as an emotional stand-in, and for that is she's getting you to meet her emotional needs, right? Like, that's the dynamic here. But the question is, what's underneath that? To find out what's underneath that, and if what's underneath that is something that is like, I'm really lonely in my life, and you guys are the only people that talk to me. That may make you feel closer to Judy, like, oh, I understand. But then you can actually help her and guide, like, oh, well, I think that we shouldn't be the only people. What are some of the ways that you can cultivate these other interests? Can you begin to be with other people that like to, if Judy likes to crochet or whatever, in your crocheting group, like you steer her towards building out her life more. But if Judy suddenly comes out with an answer that is very clear that Judy's not well, then I think it's probably time to start distancing yourself from Judy.
Yeah. And again, if your wife feels differently, if your wife's like, you know what, maybe my friendship with Judy would be better one-on-one, and spouse, you don't need to be a part of this. Let the spouse and Judy be off by themselves and not deal with this frustration.
That would also
anymore.
freak me out a little bit, though, honestly.
Would it? Oh.
Well, no, not that they would spend time together, but I would also ask my spouse. I would be like, wait, how are you perceiving these things with Judy? Kind of like what you said. And if in this case my wife, my spouse, was like, I want to spend every waking moment with Judy, I would then be freaked out about my wife, and I'd be like, oh, good Lord, I have a deeper problem, right?
My wife wants to spend all her spare time with someone who is a little bit too needy.
No, listen, that would begin to set out so many alarm bells, and so then I would be like, oh my God, the problem isn't Judy, the problem is my spouse, and so I got a bigger problem now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think this just comes down to managing, how everybody feels here.
Right.
Talking about it and making sure, letter writer, that you're not giving in too much to things that don't feel comfortable to you.
100%. Like, you get to decide what the lines are for you, and it actually doesn't matter what anyone around you wants in that. Like, you get to set up your own space.
Yes, your space is yours. You don't have to host the next birthday party.
No. Oh, no.
You don't have to do any of that stuff.
Absolutely not. That's why they made Chili's. Take Judy to Chili's.
Oh, that bloomin' onion. Or is that the wrong place? In any event, yeah, Chili's. All right, let's move on to our next letter. It is titled, Adult Keeper of an Alcoholic.
My 71-year-old mother is a narcissistic alcoholic. She's usually just buzzed and temperamental, but when she's stressed, she gets incoherently drunk. My father and I have tried talking to her, but she becomes defensive and abusive. We've given up and just avoided her when it's bad. I'm worried because she'll be flying internationally to visit family for a wedding. She's terrified of flying, and this time she's going alone. I'm scared she will be belligerent on the plane or, worse, completely alienate the few relatives that still talk to us by being drunk at the wedding. Should I approach the groom, my relative, about this? He's picking her up at the airport, plus she will spend most of her time with him and his very small children. Should I ask her not to drink on the flight, even though it will cause a huge argument?
Okay, Imara. Let's talk about Mom the alcoholic. You're shaking your head a lot. I'm shaking my head with this letter. And I'm curious if you're shaking your head for the same reason I am.
I'm shaking my head because I'm terribly sad for everyone who has to live and grow up with an alcoholic or an addict. It is a shattering, deeply painful, deeply distorting way to grow up. And I think what makes me sad is that I can hear that in the letter.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that I want to say is that you're not responsible for your mom. I mean, this is one of the things that children of addicts and alcoholics grow up, is that you feel like you're responsible for the person. You have to manage them. They've turned you into the adult, and they are the child, right? And that is that's just not right. And my advice to the letter writer is you need to center yourself first.
Yes.
You can't worry about her because she has made her choices in life, right? And she gets to be responsible for herself, and she gets to be responsible for the consequences of what she does. That is not on you, and that is not on your father. And that you will be destroying yourself in a fool's errand if you believe that you can rescue her, if you can manage her, if you can save her from the consequences of her actions. So I really want the letter writer to take care of themselves. And in this case, that doesn't mean taking care of mom.
Yeah. I am 100% on the same page as you. Trying to stop somebody from being an alcoholic is unfortunately like trying to put out a fire in a high rise with a garden hose. This is not something you have control over. You can repeatedly try to throw your hose at that burning building. But ultimately, it's not up to you. It's up to the building.
That's
the building's going to do what it's going to do. And I just feel bad because it sounds like you and your dad are already in this pattern where you try to fix your mom and you can't fix your mom. But please take care of yourself. Maybe you and your dad can join Al-Anon together.
That's right.
Maybe you can each have separate therapists that you go to. Maybe you can call the substance abuse support hotline to talk, through what you're dealing with, find new coping mechanisms, learn how to distance yourself without guilt, because there's always a lot of guilt in these situations, but there's nothing to feel guilty about. As Imara was just saying, you've been put into a parentification situation here, and it's not your job to parent your mom. It is absolutely not your job to do that.
No.
The question, though, of whether or not to warn the groom about mom, what do you think about that, Imara?
I mean, yes. I mean, you can warn them and say, look, here's my mom. This is the way that she behaves, all the rest of it. You should warn the groom. You should warn your family. And, I don't know if you can call an airline in advance, but they probably wouldn't let mom fly if you called and said, my mom's alcoholic and she don't serve her drinks. She's in seat 23F. But I think that, yes, you can warn. But I think that one of the reasons why they probably are having difficulty doing all of the incredibly correct things you just advised them is that people who are alcoholic and narcissistic are both highly manipulative and also deeply angry, right? And so they turn your willingness to not do what they want you to do into a weapon to slash you, essentially, to say that you're really not there for them. You never really cared. And so those are the ways in which they exact control over probably the daughter and the father. And they need to be very aware of the fact that that's happening and that they can't rescue her.
Yeah, you can't rescue her. But yes, I also agree. If you talk to the groom about it, I think the main reason to do it is not even because of, mom might be embarrassing or weird. I think the main reason is you use the word abusive in your letter. So letter writer, if your mom is being abusive when she's drunk, the groom should absolutely know, especially because the groom has children who are going to be around your mom a lot on this trip. I would not put any children in harm's way. I would try to warn the groom in advance about that. If for no other reason than, the word abuse means a lot to me. And please be careful about that. And as far as everything else, though, you can't control your mom. You really can't, unfortunately. But please take care of yourself. That's 100%. The number one person you need to take care of right now. Your mom, she can eventually decide to take care of herself if she wants to, but you need to take care of you.
100%.
All right. We are going to take another quick break, but when we do, more of your letters.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Give your kids a summer full of fun and learning. Give them ID Tech. ID Tech camps are all about high-energy fun, meeting new friends, and are taught by elite instructors. Located at 75 prestigious college campuses all across the country, ID Tech features over 50 epic courses like BattleBots, AI and machine learning, coding, game design, and more. There's something for every kid ages 7 to 17 at ID Tech. Sign up at idtech.com and use code IDTech to save $150 on a week of a lifetime.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome back to Dear Prudence. I'm Kristen Meinzer. I am here with Imara Jones to answer your letters, and the next one is titled Crazy Aunt.
I was very close to my cousin Kara growing up until her mother, my maternal aunt, went batshit insane. She fabricates feuds with everyone in the family, especially my poor mother. She would make accusations and then block people, only to whine when they didn't crawl back begging to get in her good graces. I was home from college when I heard her screaming to my mother over the phone because my mother didn't wish her a happy birthday on her birthday. And this was after she blocked my mother on all social media for some other lunacy. As a result, Kara and I have been fairly estranged, especially when she was living at home. Her mother would go through her phone regularly. Kara and I are both adults, but other than the occasional Merry Christmas text, we don't talk. So I was very shocked when she emailed me and asked me to be her bridesmaid. Her boyfriend popped the question, but it isn't on social media because Kara wants all the wedding details ironed out without her mother knowing. The problem with this is that my aunt will find out and probably cook up a scenario where, through me, my mother is the one pulling the strings. And I really don't want to get in the middle of that. What should I do? I texted Kara that I would have to see given my workload, but I do want to support her on her big day. So what now?
So the question is, do you want to be a bridesmaid to somebody who is emotionally manipulating your mom and hurting all your family members? Do you want to do that? I get the feeling the letter writer doesn't want to do that.
I mean, the letter writer seems to be struggling with their own emotional boundaries, right?
Yes,
even in
yes.
the way that it's written. Like, where do they end? The aunts, the cousin, where all of the relatives, like all these people. And I would ask the letter writer, kind of like you did, where are you in this? Because we've heard about everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? Which means that you don't actually have a sense of your own emotional container. And so I think that what the letter writer should do is actually first ground themselves in where they are in this and what they want, and then start from that and move, and that will answer a lot of your questions. As long as you're trying to figure out where everyone else is and how you should be responding to them and what other people are going to do, you're not actually listening to yourself. So we don't know whether or not they don't want to be. I don't think that they know. I think they have to start with themselves in this process.
Yeah. You're right. A lot of this letter is just listing all the transgressions of Kara against everybody else.
That's right.
There is one clue there, but there is one clue in the letter that makes me think the letter writer is not just upset about how Kara's treating the rest of the family. There's the mention that I almost never even talk to Kara, other than the occasional Merry Christmas text. I don't even talk to Kara. So that also is telling me, like, is Kara really somebody you want to be in the wedding for if you don't even really want to stay in regular touch other than polite holiday exchanges by text? I mean, the sense I'm getting is the letter writer doesn't really want to, but I think you're right, Imara. Letter writer really needs to sit with their own feelings about this, not just recap what's happening to other family members, not just look at the last couple of text messages with Kara.
That's right.
But just sit with their feelings a little bit. Outsider perspective, what I see is you probably don't want to be a bridesmaid in this wedding, and it's okay if you don't want to be. I have been a bridesmaid over 20 times in my life, and let me tell you, it's not always fun. It can be a lot of work. It can be very, very expensive. Even people we love the most, it can feel like, oh, this is like another job I have for the next 6 months or however long it is in the lead up to the wedding. Bachelorette parties, showers, planning, helping with, dress fittings, all of these other things. It can turn into a lot of
day
work.
of.
Oh, day of itself is just like, even like 6 hours before the wedding, you're at work essentially as a bridesmaid. So, yeah. Is this amount of work and time something you want to dedicate to Kara? Again, my outsider point of view, I'm getting the impression you don't want to. But again, you have to sit with yourself. I can't tell you how you feel. Imara and I agree. This is something for you to sit with your own feelings about and know how you feel about it. But it's okay to not do it too. You don't have to say yes to being a bridesmaid every time you're invited to be a bridesmaid. And you can even say it politely. You can just say, you know what, I just don't have the bandwidth right now.
Yeah, and you get to say that you don't want to do it, right? Like, that's the most important thing. Like, you actually, this person, I think, struggles with no, and they would probably do well to practice saying no. Yeah.
And maybe it'll take a while. Letter writer sounds like they're college aged, and it's tough as we're learning how to adult to set boundaries, to learn how to have tough conversations. But you will absolutely get there, and this will give you some good practice on doing that. You don't have to mention any other family members in your no. You don't have to bring up examples of bad behavior. You can just say, I can't do this.
That's right.
Yeah. Nope.
That's right. No,
nope.
can't do.
Nope, can't do it. That's enough. And we believe in you. It's going to be fine.
That's right.
You can do it.
And you're going to be happy if you say no, trust.
Yeah, yeah. And who knows? Maybe that'll result in you not being invited to the wedding. But with somebody you only text once a year on Christmas, that doesn't sound like the biggest loss in the world.
Life goes on.
Yes, it'll be fine. Okay, that is it for all the questions this week. Imara, it has been so much fun. Can you tell our listeners where they can get more of you? I know they all want to.
Yes, well, because you're a podcast listening audience, you should go sign up right now, right away, for the TransLash podcast, which I host every week. You can find that wherever you get your podcast. You can tell I'm used to saying that. And we just delve into so many different aspects of where trans people are in the world and why that matters for not only our community, but everyone else, from politics to technology to even astrology. Channing Nicholas is going to be doing an astrology reading for me, so it is both an informative space and a good time space. So join us on the TransLash podcast. And you can also find me on social media at Imara Jones, at my name, super easy, and also follow TransLash at TransLash Media.
Yes, everybody, please do that. That Channing Nichols episode is going to be really good, by the way.
It's going to be so good.
So good, so good. And listeners, if you want more of me, you can find me on the podcasts By the Book, How to Be Fine, and Daily Fail. Do you need help getting along with partners, relatives, coworkers, and people in general? Write to Prudie. Go to slate.com/Prudie. That's slate.com/PRUDIE. The Dear Prudence column is published every Thursday. Dear Prudence was produced this week by Maura Currie and Vic Whitley-Berry with editorial help from Paula De Verona. Daisy Rosario is senior supervising producer, and Slate's editor-in-chief is Hillary Fry. And I'm your guest, Prudence, Kristen Meinzer. That's all for this episode, but join us on today's episode of Prudie Plus, where Imara and I give advice to someone wanting their parents to support their transition better. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts by clicking Try Free at the top of our show page, or visit slate.com/Prudie Plus to get access wherever you listen. The episode is available for you to listen to right now. We'll see you over there.